Good evening and welcome to the October 3rd, 2022 meeting of the Village of Frankfort Village Board. We'd like to call this meeting to order, and I ask our clerk, Katie Schubert, to take the roll, please.
Thank you. Mayor Ogle.
Here.
Trustee Ledden.
Here.
Trustee Severia.
Here.
Trustee Farina.
Here.
Trustee Petro.
Here.
Trustee Borelli.
Here.
Trustee Rossi. Attorney Lamore. Chief Chalepis.
Here.
Village Administrator Pisha.
Here.
Assistant Administrator Barika.
Present.
And Clerk Schubert.
Thank you, Clerk. Now, if everyone would stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item that we have on here is what's called the unanimous consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted in one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. At this time, I ask whether any of the trustees would like to remove any of the items on the Plan Commission's consent agenda, or sorry, on the consent agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to remove the Altman residence, multiple zoning ordinance variances.
Okay. Trustee Farina has requested removing the Altman residence, which is C1. Okay, hearing nothing else, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion by Trustee Savaria and a second by Trustee Petro. We'll go through these items so that those that are in the audience tonight know what we're voting on, as well as anyone that might be watching at home. Also on our village website, the packet that has all the information that we're seeing at the same time is available, and you can also look at that. The first item that is on here, the consent agenda, was the approval of the minutes from our regular meeting on September 9th, or September 19th, 2022. There was one item which the trustees should have received today. It was just a correction of, in the mayor's report, of Andy Pavlaka, who had sent us a photograph, beautiful photograph of sunset with the Arrowhead Bridge. So that was one correction everyone would have received today. And that, are there any other corrections to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, then we'll go to Trustee Savaria for the bills and payroll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bills this month equal $2,574,445.27. This is comprised of $253,904.70 for the general corporate fund, $4,089.12 for the motor fuel tax fund, $155,497.98 for sewer water operations and maintenance, and the bulk of this month's bills come from the capital development fund in the amount of $2,160,953.47, the majority of which went to P.T. Farrell for road maintenance. And that's my report.
All right, thank you, Trustee Savaria. The next item then on there was the Altman residence, which has been moved for separate discussion, and we will go to the next Plan Commission item, which is pick and play, and we'll go to Trustee Farina.
Thanks, Mayor Ogle. Pick and place special use permit for indoor recreation at 21800 South LaGrange Road, Unit B. Applicant Tony Villa proposes to renovate Unit B of the existing building located at 21800 South LaGrange Road to operate pick and play, an indoor recreational facility containing 4 pickleball courts. To accommodate the facility within the I-2 General Industrial District, the applicant requests the granting of a special use permit for indoor recreation. At the September 22nd, 2022 public hearing on the project, the Plan Commission forwarded a unanimous recommendation to the Village Board to approve the special use request subject to several conditions. The motion before us this evening is to accept the Plan Commission recommendation, waive the first and second readings, and pass an ordinance granting a special use permit for indoor recreation to the property located at 21800 South LaGrange Road, Unit B, to permit the operation of Pick and Play, an indoor recreational facility containing 4 pickleball courts in accordance with reviewed plans, public testimony, and findings of fact conditioned upon, if any mechanical uses are added to the roof of the site, they shall be screened per the requirements of the zoning ordinance. The project shall obtain compliance with all applicable codes, including the Fire Code and International Building Code. There shall be no indoor bleachers installed and no tournaments held at this location, and no less than 25 parking spaces shall be allocated to the proposed use. And that is all, Mayor Ogle.
Thank you, Trustee Farina. The next item on here is the Oasis Senior Living, and we'll go to Trustee Borelli.
Thank you, Thank you, Mayor Ogle. Oasis Senior Living Special Use Permit for an Assisted Living Facility and Final Plat Approval, 8531 West Lincoln Highway. Oasis Senior Living Incorporated proposes to construct an 82-unit assisted living facility at the southwest corner of Route 30 and Windy Hill Drive. Assisted living facilities are permitted in the B2 zoning district with the issuance of a special use permit. The project also requires approval of a final plat of subdivision to create a lot of record as the property is subdivided. This project was heard before the Plan Commission at a workshop on March 10th, 2022. On the August 23rd, 2022, the applicant hosted a neighborhood meeting at the Frankfort Public Library to explain the project, including changes to the plan since the workshop meeting, and to answer any questions from the public. The following is a summary of changes to the plan since the workshop and the neighborhood meeting. 1, the building has been shifted north slightly to allow for a wider landscape setback along the south property line. There were formerly 2 rows of parking along the front of the building facing Route 30. The rows have now been split up with 1 row of parking along Route 30 and 1 row of parking along the west side of the building. 2, the landscape buffer along the south property line has been increased from 14 feet to 33.45 feet, and more vegetation has been added to this area. 3, the northern driveway was shifted further north when the building was moved further north. 4, the apron on the northern driveway has been widened at the request of village staff to make it easier for southbound traffic on Windy Hill Drive to navigate around any vehicles turning into the assisted living facility. 5, the unit count was increased from 78 to 82. There are now more studio units and less 1-bedroom units. 6, a retaining wall was added to the northwest corner of the site, measuring approximately 300 feet long and 7 feet tall at the highest in the middle. The retaining wall tapers to meet grade at either end of the wall. 8, the trash enclosure has been moved from along the south property line to the west property line, still in the same vicinity but further away from the existing townhomes. The setback from the trash enclosure to the south property line has been increased from 7 feet to 44.7 feet. And finally, decorative fencing was added on both sides of both access drives along Windy Hill Drive to match the existing fencing at the northeast corner of the property. The proposed fencing would match the existing fencing in terms of materials, height, design, and color. At the September 22nd, 2022 public hearing on the project, the Plan Commission heard from several residents who expressed their opposition to the assisted living facility. They cited traffic and drainage concerns and loss of green space as a few of the reasons for not supporting the project. The Plan Commissioners were unanimous in their support of the project, forwarding 2 unanimous recommendations to the Village Board to approve the special use request and final plat of subdivision. There are a couple of motions before us tonight. The first is to accept the Plan Commission recommendation, waive the first and second readings, and pass an ordinance granting a special use permit for an assisted living facility to the property located at 8531 West Lincoln Highway to permit the operation of Oasis Senior Living in accordance with the reviewed plans, public testimony, and findings of fact, conditioned upon final engineering approval, the replacement of any damaged sections of public sidewalk. The base of any future ground sign shall be consistent with the materials of the wainscot of the building, and the facility's bus shall be parked on the west side of the building. The second motion before us is to accept the Plan Commission recommendation and approve the Oasis Frankfort subdivision final plat prepared by Geotech Incorporated, revised on September 13th, 2022, in accordance with the reviewed plans and subject to any technical revisions prior to recording and conditioned upon final engineering approval. That concludes this portion, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Borelli. All right, at this time, there's the trustees will allow discussion on any of these items for the consent agenda, if there are any. Okay. Hearing none, I know that we have residents in the audience. There were quite a few items that have been addressed and changed in there since, and this is not the public hearing part. It does go to a vote, and it stayed on consent agenda. So at this time, I do ask our clerk, Katie Schubert, to take the vote.
Trustee Letton?
Yes.
Trustee Severia?
Yes.
Trustee Farina?
Yes.
Trustee Petro?
Yes.
Trustee Borelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Clerk. We've removed one item from the consent agenda, the Altman residence, which we will take up after item number 4, which would be the Plan Commission report and OPA. So this one's a little more complicated. And the applicant, George Carunzos, is here from OPA. So the item of business regarding the OPA major PUD change was removed from our unanimous consent agenda and tabled at our September 19th Village Board meeting. There is first a motion that I'll need from the floor to take this matter from the table, and it's essentially the motion would be to take from the table the motion related to the OPA major PUD change for Brookside Commons planned unit development. Can I get that motion? Okay, thank you, Trustee Farina. That's to take it off the table. And second by Trustee Savaria. Okay, now we have go to our clerk, Katie Schubert, to take the roll.
Trustee Severia? Yes. Trustee Farina?
Yes.
Trustee Petro?
Yes.
Trustee Borelli?
Yes.
Trustee Letton?
Okay, thank you. So this is now off the table. There's some procedural things that we have to do in order to do this. Staff has contacted the applicant, Mr. Carunzos from OPA, and recommended that he attended this village board meeting to answer any questions that may come up as part of the village board's consideration of the major PUD change. Staff had received correspondence from Mr. Carunzos requesting that the matter be postponed. And so at this point, Mr. Carunzos, if you'd like to come up and say something along those lines, as I understand, it's the postponement is needs to be mutual between you as the applicant, but if you're, yes.
And I believe there were some issues, I believe, with parking and things like that, that I would love to address, but I think we're just gonna need some time to address those. As far as that outdoor area, I'd love to make whatever changes everyone would like. It's just I don't think we could do it immediately. So being that the season, I believe, has passed, we'd like to bring it up at a later date and see if we could resolve it.
Okay. I mean, we're certainly, we're very happy when you locate your business here.
Thank you.
Economic development, you've got a tremendous operation there and
Thank
very
you.
popular, and you're wanting to grow and expand. So we're looking to, to help in that process.
Thank you.
The motion that we would need here is to move to postpone the motion related to the OPA major PUD change indefinitely, which basically would be a time that you would be able to come
Yes, sir.
back. You could address those other issues.
Correct.
So move.
Okay. It would be postponed indefinitely till the applicant could come back to.
I guess my,
Does the motion need to be seconded before we discuss?
Did you second, or rather, did you move?
Yeah, we need a second for this discussion.
Okay, I'll make the second to postpone it definitely.
Okay, all right. At this time, we can discuss. And if there is discussion on that, to me, it seems that the applicant would like some time to sort out issues that we've raised
Yes.
and continue on with the development, and that's up to the board, though.
My only question would be indefinitely, and maybe Hannah can answer this. I'm not sure we've had anything tabled indefinitely. I thought the recommendation had been to a date prior to or within 90 days of certain applications, if I remember correctly, from like Plan Commission.
Yes, Trustee Petro, that was specific to sports courts, and the zoning ordinance does provide for an agreed extension of that 90-day within which action needs to be taken. For a major change to a PUD, there is not that by agreement term. So indefinitely would cause this then to staff to reinitiate the process to bring it back before the board at a time in the future.
Mayor,
Yes, trustee Burley.
no, I love your restaurant, and
Thank you.
It's great seeing it succeed. Obviously, parking is an issue. We just didn't get a chance to discuss that at the last meeting, and I certainly didn't want to vote down this without having the chance to talk with you. So I appreciate you
Correct.
coming today, and just, I'll use this opportunity to express my concerns. And-
Please.
And they are parking related. As you know, there's a massive parking deficit over in that area. It's not your fault. It's a legacy issue.
Yeah, that's why we tried adjusting like more to the dinner hours as compared to this
Right,
and that.
and I appreciate the,
Right.
the
Thank you.
concessions you made to try to get it there. I'm still not quite there, and honestly, if you were to separate out the two items,
Right,
enclosing the existing patio, I don't have a concern with personally, it's just
Right.
me. But the expansion that's one that's
and those are
it's
the
gonna be
things.
challenging, so.
Those are things that I'd like to talk about in the future, but obviously I'd have to discuss it with wife, architects,
Sure.
different people like that. That's something I just can't do right now.
Understood, but I
And
would
that's why I'm
also,
asking for some time.
yeah, no, I totally get it, but the date that was proposed was like May 1st, which, I mean, by that time, you gotta remember, then it has to go to village board approval, then you have to bid it out, do the construction. I'd
Right.
assume you'd want it done, you'd kind of want to get an answer on that probably like over the winter, I would
Correct.
assume, right, so that you know.
So
what
we
you're
can be
doing.
ready for the next season for what
Yeah,
we're
so
doing.
if we're
That's why,
gonna
like,
postpone it, I would be more like, January, something like that, February, does that seem more?
January or February this year for
Oh,
next
next year,
season?
just to discuss this, I don't know how much more time you need, it just seemed like the length of the extension that was requested seemed very long, so I was just wondering if you were willing
Yeah,
to.
I just don't know what the season's gonna be like and what it's gonna take. We haven't been there for less than 8 months, I think.
Okay.
So I think it's like, I wanna get a feel of what's going on too and what
in the
needs to be
wintertime.
done. Yes,
I
correct.
see,
So I
Before
think
you
that would
go-
give me more of a strong feel as to what's needed and what I could adjust.
okay.
You
Well,
know,
definitely
that
could be a
makes sense.
shorter time period as well. It's
Yeah,
just an
I would-
undefined number, so it could be January, or it could be,
Sure.
For your own benefit, there's still a process, and then,
I
you
understand.
gotta get permits and all that, so you.
Of
I
course,
mean,
and
just-
that's,
Just
yeah,
to hit the construction season, I think you'd wanna
I
kind of have
agree.
this knocked out by February, March.
right.
That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
thank you, trustee.
So if we were to pass it now, would he have to begin construction in a certain time period, or?
Usually, the requirement is that you have to begin construction within a year of the permit being issued, but that can be extended by agreement by the village and by the applicant.
Yeah, because, I mean, I express the same concerns that trustee Borelli does. I don't see you really resolving the parking issue. I have no issue with the enclosure.
Correct.
I would, move forward with approving that. I just don't see what postponing this is gonna do, because you're not gonna get to a place where you can actually address that. If you've got a restaurant next to you that could potentially open, if that opens, it's gonna further cause problems with parking, right? So,
I would assume, I couldn't tell you what's gonna go next door. I
but
don't know.
there is a restaurant there that plans on reopening,
Okay,
right? So, right now, even with that, with that not open, there's a
Right.
parking problem. So to expand your seating beyond
are we
what you
talking
had-
about just the tables, the outside, that little pit?
Oh, I'm talking about the added patio, not the enclosure.
The exterior part of it. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, where I'd like to talk to my architect about possibly if we could make changes to that. Maybe I don't need that. That's why I
Right,
was asking for
and
some
so in the last meeting, what we recommended to staff is that
Right.
you separate the two, right? So we could vote on you enclosing, right?
time. Okay,
And then separate out the addition of the smaller patio. I think it was 4
you mean
seats.
for a later date, is that what you're saying?
No, we could vote on it, separate them out, we'll vote on them separately. What we don't want to do is turn you down completely because you're adding seats, right? You're adding four seats, 16,
I believe, yeah, that's,
Four-
I think,
four
I believe
tables,
that,
16
the
seats,
architect's not here.
right?
I can't remember exactly what the drawing is.
it was 4 tables, 16 seats.
Okay,
In my opinion, that area,
Right.
that could be an additional 8 cars, could be more,
Right.
right? There is not the parking there. And that's my issue, and that's why we recommended that you split it out. Obviously, what you want to do is postpone it, you know, I don't see that being resolved, right? There's no way to resolve your parking issue.
No, but I think there's some issues with changing of the hours and things like that that I'd like to constantly,
You're not going to get me there, I'm just telling you that right now.
okay, but I understand that. And I think I need some time to figure out the season as exactly what it brings to the business and what's needed. If it's not needed, if it's not, if it is, I guess that's the discussion that we'll have to take. I've only been there for how many months? I can't tell you business-wise what it's gonna bring in the wintertime. I wish I could. That's why I was asking for more time.
Trustee Farina.
Kala. Very good.
Evharisto. I just want to, again, I'm glad you're here in Frankfurt. I do think there's some creative solutions to help you with parking. One thing I suggested was you have some neighbors, private business owners.
That is correct, that is correct. And I thought about that too, and that's why
leasing.
some time I think would help in this matter.
Yeah, and I think you deserve, as any business owner deserves in our town, the time to be able to do what you need to do to expand your business, take care of your business. So,
Thank you.
you know, I think we should support him tonight and let him have his time to do his business. And
Thank you.
come up with some creative solution, whether it's valet, putting your staff in others, you know, who knows?
Yeah, I believe that other side is owned differently. It's very confusing over there, and I'm just getting to kind of get a little grip on it right now. But I believe literally probably like 20 yards over is a whole different development.
Yep. Yep.
Which that's why some time I think would help that possibly we could resolve this and come up with some creative ideas to better Frankfurt, and that's what I'm trying to do.
I agree with you.
I'm trying to, and aesthetically, with that extra seats, those 4 tables, that whole idea was because they wanted to keep that look of the patio too. That was more or less, the 4 tables won't really make or break the decision for me financially, but I think aesthetically, from the look from the outside, I think that's what the idea the architect came up with, to keep that look of a patio, you know, for appeal. That's what I believe it was.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor to extend this
Yes, sir.
to a date to allow you the chance to explore these other options, come back with, address the concerns, see whether they can be addressed, and move this forward with your development. So is there any further discussion at this point?
Yeah, just to clarify one thing. I mean, the point I was trying to make was that, you know, if you want to pull it apart and have the enclosure and just the enclosure, I would recommend doing that because I think you'll get that approved right away and you can move forward. But I think what you're saying is that, well, it's kind of, it depends on the patio and it depends on some other factors. So that's why you're still
Right,
wanting to bundle
and
this
I didn't do
together.
the drawings, the architects did, they came
I
up
get
with
it.
it, and I know that was with discussion with the village as to what they wanted, the look of it, the outdoor lighting, there was a lot of playing
Sure.
parts there.
Okay.
That I didn't do it.
Yeah, no, I understood. Okay.
Right, so,
Well, this allows you to go back to work with the architect.
Correct.
I mean, obviously, if you would pull out one piece, that'll change a
and
wall.
then possibly
other-
resolve the parking issue, if we can, like we said, talk possibly with next door right there. Is it possible to get parking there, valet cars there? I don't know. Those are
Yeah.
things possibly that I'd like to address, but I need time to do that.
Yes.
Another question. It does sound like you might be making some changes to the actual plan and the architecture. Would that go back then to the Plan Commission for review if there'll be different changes aesthetically
I don't know how that works.
before it comes back to the board?
You talking about going back to the?
Or maybe that's a question for staff.
Yeah,
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 So would it be better if he just withdrew at this point and then resubmitted?
That seems to maybe make
I
more
would feel
sense.
more comfortable with that than extending indefinitely.
well, I don't think we want to start the whole process over again. I mean, it's been quite time-consuming, guys, and expensive with architects and things like that. I don't really want to have to redo this whole thing just for 4 tables.
Mayor, I would just motion to call the vote.
Okay. At this point, we're closing discussion. Clerk, would you call the vote, please?
Thank you. You want me to step down?
Trustee Farina?
Yes.
Trustee Petro?
Yes?
Trustee Borelli?
Yes.
Trustee Ledden?
Yes.
Trustee Severia?
No.
Motion carries.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, George. All right. now we will go back to item that was removed from the consent agenda, which was the Altman residence. There's multiple zoning variances, and we will go to trustee Ledden for the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Altman Residence, multiple zoning variance located at 240 Center Road. Applicant Jarrett Lacasse of Gander Builders proposes to build a new single-family residence on the vacant property located at 240 Center Road for the Altman family. A house formerly existed on this site, but has since been demolished and cleared. The proposed house requires 4 variances. Number 1, first floor building materials variance to permit a mixture of 3 primary materials, including 4-inch hardy board lap siding, cham-clad exterior siding, and painted white brick. Number 2, roof material variance to permit a mix of metal and shingle roof materials. Number 3, a driveway setback variance from 4 feet pavement setback requirement to 1 foot to permit a driveway serving a side-loaded garage. And number 4, a driveway turning radius variance from the required 26 feet to 25 feet to permit a driveway serving a side-loaded garage. At the September 22nd, 2022 public hearing on the project, the Plan Commission forwarded 3 split recommendations to the Village Board to approve the first floor building materials variance, the roof materials variance, and the driveway setback variance request, and 1 split recommendation for the driveway turning radius variance request. The motion before us this evening was to accept the Plan Commission recommendation, waive the first and second readings, and pass an ordinance granting the following zoning variances to permit the construction of a new single-family residence on the property located at 240 Center Road. A first floor building materials variance from masonry requirement to permit the use of non-masonry materials, a roof materials variance to permit a mix of metal and shingle roof materials, a driveway setback variance from 4 feet pavement setback requirement to 1 foot from the property line, and a driveway turning radius variance from the required 26 feet to 25 feet, all in accordance with the reviewed plans, public testimony, and the finding of facts. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Ledden. So we have quite a few items that are all contained within there. There's multiple zoning variances. And trustee Farina, you had asked to have this removed from the consent agenda, so we will go trustee by trustee for comments before we go to a vote. I think first, actually, we need a motion and a second before we can have any discussion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Savaria, second by trustee Ledden. Okay. Now we can have discussion. It's okay, we'll start. Trustee Ledden, any questions you have, and we'll work our way down to the dais.
I don't think I have any.
The cham-clad exterior siding, the PVC, can you tell me about that? The PVC
Jared
siding?
Lekas is up here too. Jared, if you'd like
Yep.
to come up to the podium. If you have a sample of that too, if you want to approach, you can give trustee Savaria a look at it.
Sorry, I've never heard of it. And was there a reason? Because you've got masonry, you've got hardy board, and then how much of the building is going to be covered with this?
So that material in particular is going to be on the gables on the front of the elevation and the back of the elevation. The reason we're using that is, unlike wood, that is PVC, it's top-of-the-line stuff. We actually discovered it at the National Home Builders Association convention this year down in Orlando. It is hurricane accredited, it's LEED certified, meaning it's energy efficient. It's the cream of the crop.
No, it's a beautiful product.
Yeah, it's 3D printed PVC, so it looks identical to wood. It never rots, you never have any issues, and yeah.
very nice.
Yeah,
Thanks.
if you want to pass it around. It's not quite vinyl siding.
No, it's very, very sturdy, very durable.
That was my only
That was
real
your question,
question, yeah.
okay. Trustee Farina.
Thanks, Mayor Ogle. Thank you for being here this evening. I pulled this off for a variety of reasons. First and foremost, this proposed home is in our historic district, and it varies from the look and feel of the downtown, and it doesn't necessarily uphold the guidelines that we have passed here on the board or the Plan Commission through our comprehensive planning process, which was just several years ago. So, and I understand there were residents the evening that this was, you appeared for a public hearing, concerned that this is changing the look and feel of our historic district. So that was number one. And then number two, I understand that our building department was not familiar with this new building product, and it's not something that we usually typically use. So there was concern there. And then also in regards to the mix of metal and shingle roof, that was a concern as well. We typically have metal on just the accessory structures of a home. And again, that varies and sets a new precedent downtown. And I understand it's a four-door or four-car?
Four-car garage.
Yeah,
yes, ma'am.
four-car. Typically, you see one or two-car garages downtown as well. So this is really a significant change in precedent for our downtown, and I would like us to have more time to tap into the Historic Preservation Commission, perhaps the Historical Society, as well as the Frankfort Preservation Commission, to see if this is really the way we want to move forward as a village. And that's all, Mayor
Okay.
Ogle.
Thank you, Trustee Farina. Trustee Pedro.
Hi, Jared. Thank you for bringing the material. I was curious as to what that looks like, because in reading through the notes, it doesn't seem like we had that on our list of approved materials. So I guess my question is more for staff, if you had any additional research on this material since that date, and, where you would classify it, because I'm more comfortable with like the hardy board material, and forgive me for not being an expert on home building materials, but, I'd just like to understand, like, where does it fall in the scheme of things? Because we've used hardy board or that type of siding traditionally in these new construction homes or remodels versus like the vinyl siding. Like, where does it fall on the spectrum?
Can I speak on that?
Sure.
So a hardy board siding is a 30-year warranty. After about 30 years, it starts to crumble, it falls apart, it's made of fiber cement. That is PVC. It's got a 50-year warranty on it. They use it down in Florida. Would have been a great material, unfortunately, right now with everything that's going on down there. That stuff, once you put it on there, it doesn't go anywhere. There's all kinds of certifications that back that up. I think that we actually gave the product, the sample, to Adam Nielsen in the building department, and he was pretty impressed with it, so that's pretty much all I got on that.
And Mike, would you, like, based on the research?
Yeah, we read through we've gone online and looked at the product, and also the applicant provided, not only the material sample, but spec information, brochures, that kind of thing. So we've read through that. Like you said, Adam had looked at it. It's relatively new for us as well. And just like any new product, it's one of those things that if it is accepted by the board, at a future update, we could certainly update our permitted materials list. Right now, we have prohibitions on certain materials, obviously vinyl siding being one.
So we would not put this in the vinyl siding category? Is that what I'm hearing?
Not in the traditional sense. no.
Okay.
This is a new product.
It's still a PVC product, so again, it falls into the plastic product, but again, as you can see from the sample, it's clearly not a vinyl siding product, and the concern obviously we've had with vinyl siding. So again, we haven't had any experience with that here yet, but again, it's just, as you said, hardy board when it first came out, had to be the first one to use it and that kind of thing, and have, becoming familiar with it, and again, with the warranties and that, could it be something that, as Mike's saying, that we could update the ordinance if we believe that that's something we want to allow in the future?
Certainly, and I do appreciate that. I know the Plan Commission has looked at other updates to our zoning and ordinance guideline, and I think maybe if this is going to be a newer product along with the hardy board, because I don't think that that's actually allowable on the first floor at this point either. My other question was about the metal roof. We have had metal roofs on, I guess, accessory type of look, and I think that you've had some homes that have had that. What is the percentage of the metal roof on this particular residence?
As of right now, it's about 50-50. So you would be seeing the metal roof on the east and west elevations of the house. So if you're on Center Street facing the house from the front, you would see it on the main roof. One of the reasons we do that is it's like the cam-clad material. It's an impenetrable building material. It's the best of the best for your roof. I mean, with the amount of ice damming we get, with the amount of bad weather we get, being that we live in the Midwest, it's pretty much bulletproof on your roof. And so we strive to use the best materials on our houses, and we stand by that, and we believe in that, and that's one of the reasons we're using it on this house.
I know metal roofs have become popular, but we have not had them as much as 50% to date. So I know Adam Nielsen had looked at like a metal roof shingle. Have you looked at anything along those lines that has a little different look, more traditional look to it?
I have not heard of a metal roof shingle before, but I guess I would be open to it, learning more about it.
Thank you, Jared. Just a concern, the 50-50 certainly, because they are becoming more popular and we have seen more than accessories. And then, you know, also I do like that we do, in the district guidelines, the historic guidelines that we looked at, we would prefer detached garages, like in fitting within the neighborhood. But at minimum, you'd want them to be hidden. So this garage, it will be a side load, so it won't be seen from the street facing?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Also, one of the reasons that we're going in for the variance on the driveway and the side lot is that lot is very peculiar. So it's a regular, I think it's 101 feet wide, but right at where you have to turn in for the garage, there's a pinch point there. So it actually pinches in another 2 to 3 feet. And without that, I think we'd actually make the cut on what we're going for there. But that pinch point pretty much eliminates that option, hence why we're going in for the variances.
How long does the one variance last? I mean, if it's a pinch point, is it?
It kicks right back out. In fact, for the last meeting, one of the commissioners suggested we do a mock-up with the engineers. And so we pushed the house back to try and see what we could get to work. And the house ended up being 130 feet back in the lot. So pretty much in the way backyard of the lot. This lines up with the rest of the houses on Center. Unfortunately, it's just, that's where it pinches. So.
Jared, it may be a question for staff, but in reading through the notes, there was a lot of discussion about the tree, especially the large tree in the back. And I know that there was a discussion around the house on Maple where they were able to save trees. And I do think that saving and preserving these trees, even where people say, oh, it may not, or it does make a large difference in kind of blending in with the neighborhood. So I just wanted to make sure I understood the notes. Are you taking down the large tree?
That tree has to be removed, yes. Now, we do plan to add trees with landscaping, and obviously, our client has been in constant contact with the neighbors, both to the north and the south, and they've actually agreed on, putting trees in to create some privacy between the neighbors. So there's a plan to also add trees, being that tree is coming down, yes.
So the other three are not coming down, just the large tree, and they'll be replanted?
I'm not sure which three you're referring to, I'm sorry.
Mike, if you could
The
comment.
staff notes.
On the staff notes?
Yes,
It's
5
just a little
trees in total
confusing.
were to be removed, 4 of which were classified as preservation trees. 1 was a large hackberry tree and 3 smaller hackberry trees.
Right, but then if you read further on, it goes to say that maybe those were scheduled to be removed, but then not removed. So I just wanted to gain clarity on that, because I know tree preservation makes a big difference in the look of downtown.
I know that one of the trees, I believe the one you're referring to is the one for sure that's real close to the house, and there was a concern concern that because of the trenching to build the house, that tree might actually fall toward the house. And then on the other three, they're very close to the house as well as far as the drip line.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. So the big tree, the main reason we're bringing it down is that it's not exactly on the foundation, but it's very, very close. And if we tried to save it, I honestly think that it's more of a safety issue. It could possibly fall down on the new house or the neighbor's house to the north. So that's kind of why we're bringing it down. The other three, I believe he wants to try and save them, being that the tree's longest limbs are where the roots are. So we're gonna more than likely try to save them and inject them with steroids to keep them alive, but there's no guarantee that those trees will survive.
Okay. Thank you for the updates.
Go to Trustee Burley.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Jared. I was just gonna ask about the driveway, so thanks for providing clarification on that. I would express similar sort of concerns or reservations on the roof, the percentage of the metal roof. I think downtown, we've seen it on porches and, you know, kickouts and stuff like that, but not as part of the main part of the roof. And then just overall, I'm looking at the rendering, and it's hard for me to get a sense of a house. I don't think I've seen a house like this in person, so that's just on me, I guess. But based on the rendering, I don't know that it has the fit of what we presented in the guidelines. That said, we don't regulate the guidelines. They're a guide and they're recommendations. But I'm just wondering, I don't think it's gonna be it's obviously not gonna be a perfect fit, but I'm hoping that it's not going to be a big sort of eyesore. I mean, it's obviously a beautiful house, but just in that setting, you're familiar with downtown, right? So just going down center road, is that gonna, is it gonna be too much different? I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at it. It's obviously I like the material. Thank you for bringing that. I like the house. I do have some concerns about sort of the feel of the house compared to the other houses in that neighborhood. And again, that's a personal preference thing. It's a beautiful house. You know what I mean? It's just about fit. So just a concern I have.
Again, so some of you familiar with us, my dad's been building down here for 20 years. I'm in the process of currently taking over the business. One of the things that my father instilled in me is that we do our best to stick out and be a little bit different than the rest of the homes that are being built down here. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say that it is different, and it's different in a good way. We had several clients come to that lot and ask if we could build a modern farmhouse, which is, I'm very sure you all are familiar with that. It's white siding with black windows. We turned a lot of them down, specifically for the reason that we wanted to do something different there. We think this is going to be a beautiful house. We've spent 16 months designing it, put a lot of work into it, looked up a lot of different new revolutionary materials. It will be anything but an eyesore. It will be a complete showstopper. And so I stand by that. That's all I got.
Okay, no, thank you. I appreciate that. I think that's all I have. I would just, with the trees, that's wonderful to hear you say, like, that you're gonna inject them with steroids and try to save them. We had a scenario in downtown near my house where, we had these beautiful catalpa trees that were supposed to be saved, and then the arborist came out at the last second and said, well, wait a minute, these aren't gonna survive. Just take them out now because Homer's here now. Let's just knock them all out. And I wish that we would have at least made the attempt to save them. I understand the one tree, there's really no chance, it sounds like, but these other ones, I hope that, and we can't regulate that. It's the property owner, they can do whatever they want, right? But I strongly encourage people, especially in downtown, to preserve their trees. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Trustee Burley. Okay, I have some questions. Thank you. Go ahead.
What style of house did you build on Maple Avenue recently?
I'm going to classify that as a traditional farmhouse.
So you do farmhouse downtown
Correct.
within our guidelines?
Correct.
Right. And so the current style, what would you say that is on Center Road that you're recommending?
Transitional farmhouse.
Transitional farmhouse. And that's replacing an American Foursquare, was it?
I'm sorry?
Was it an American Foursquare that you tore down from there?
The
type of
original
architecture?
house?
Yeah.
I believe that was a bungalow.
Is it a bungalow?
Yes.
Okay. So that was a home that we've seen, you know, throughout downtown. We see bungalows.
Yes, you also see farmhouses in the downtown
Right.
district.
But yours, this, what's proposed is very contemporary in style. We don't have anything like that downtown, correct? You said you just said you're gonna do something unique. This is very unique because there's not one like this in downtown at this time, correct?
It's unique in the sense that, yes, it's different, but it still has farmhouse roots. A farmhouse is usually big gables in the front. If you look at the front elevation of this, the whole front of the garage is one big gable. The main part, central part of the house is one big gable that's accented with the very expensive and very nice material that actually shows off the front gable.
Okay, thank you.
Jared, thank you for coming out here and answering these questions. The material, I appreciate that there are new materials coming out all the time. There are new techniques come out all the time. And that to investigate those, certainly when PVC would pop up on there, we'd be like, you know, vinyl siding. But this material, same with when Hardy Board came out. There was a lot of opposition that, oh, we can't try this. I think it's important for us to be using products that are, becoming accepted within this new technology, that we're on the forefront of those, the 50-year warranty. Just as a ballpark, this is not a small insignificant house. Generally, what is the price range on this house?
Something like this, usually over $1 million.
Okay, it's over $1 million investment in our downtown. There was a unanimous, the recommendations, there was some split on some of the variances, but there was a 5-1 on the motion number 3, which was on the material. And the material variance was really based on the fact that between the workshop and the public hearing was really when that was introduced. But it's a fairly new product. I do appreciate that. The preservation side with the trees, I think we're all very sensitive to that, our landscape ordinance, and to do a 1-to-1 sort of replacement on that. If there are no other questions from the trustees, I would like us to go to the vote. I believe we have do we have a motion and a second on this one yet? We do.
We do.
Okay. And that was? There is one motion, as I understand here, as Trustee Ledden read.
Okay. All right. Trustee Petro?
Is there a way to vote individually?
I mean, there are 4 separate motions.
We can, as I say, you can
Thank
do it
you.
individually, because, again, because it's been taken off the consent agenda, you can address each variance request separately.
Whoever made the motion, withdraw the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct, or you can stay with the original motion to approve those, but then go individually for each item, correct?
I would ask trustee Lennon if you could withdraw your second. If trustee Savaria, who originally made the motion, would like to take the friendly amendment to ask for 4 separate motions, then you can do so. We need a new second to move forward.
My first second.
I vote for it.
That's all right.
So I just need to make a motion to split it up into 4 motions, or?
You could either move each individually, or if you have no issue with being the movement on all 4, you would present all 4. And then we would need a second on that, and then individual vote would be taken on each.
Would you do that, Gene?
I can do
Vote
that.
for it. Thank you. Just for
All right, so the first motion is to accept the Plan Commission recommendation, waive the first and second reading, pass an ordinance granting building material variance from first floor masonry requirements to permit the use of non-masonry materials in the construction of a new single-family residence on the property located at 240 Center Road in accordance with the reviewed plans, public testimony, and findings of fact. All right. Second motion is to accept the Plan Commission recommendation, waive the,
Wait, you gotta vote
oh, we
on
have to
that.
vote on that. All right.
Okay, so to be clear, the first item on here is the first floor building material variance,
Yes.
which includes the hardy board lap siding, jam-clad exterior siding, the PVC, and painted white brick. So we have a motion and a second. We'll go to our clerk, Katie Schubert.
Trustee Petro.
Yes.
Trustee Borelli.
Yes.
Trustee Ledden.
Yes.
Trustee Severia.
Yes.
Trustee Farina.
No.
Okay,
Motion
that
carries.
motion carried. So the jam-clad is now going to be in there. So the next one will be the roof material variance to permit a mix of metal and shingle roof materials. I'm sorry,
We need a,
I'm sorry, did you make a motion for all four? No. No, okay, all right. I was just clarifying what the item number 2 is.
I think I need to read all of them, right?
You can say so moved, and then we
So
need a
moved.
second.
There we go.
Okay, we'll go to our clerk.
all right. Trustee Borelli.
No.
Trustee Ledden.
Yes.
Trustee Severia.
Yes.
Trustee Farina.
No.
Trustee Petro.
No.
Motion fails.
Motion fails, yeah. Okay, number 3, Gene.
Third motion is to accept the Plan Commission's recommendation, waive the first and second reading, pass the ordinance granting driveway setback variance from 4-foot pavement setback requirement to 1 foot from the property line to permit driveway serving a side-loaded garage in construction of a new single-family residence on the property located at 240 Center Road in accordance with the reviewed plans, public testimony, and findings of fact.
Okay, we need a second. And we'll go to our clerk, the vote.
Trustee Ledden.
Yes.
Trustee Severia.
Yes.
Trustee Farina.
No.
Trustee Petro.
Yes.
Trustee Borelli.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Fourth one, Gene.
Okay. The fourth motion is to accept the Plan Commission recommendation, waive the first and second reading, pass an ordinance granting driveway turning radius variance from required 26-foot to 25-foot to permit a driveway serving a side-loaded garage in the construction of a new single-family residence on the property of 240 Center Road in accordance with the reviewed plans, public testimony, and finding of facts.
Okay, need a second? And we'll go to our clerk, Katie Schubert, for the vote.
Trustee Severia.
Yes.
Trustee Farina.
No.
Trustee Petro.
Yes.
Trustee Borelli.
Yes.
Trustee Ledden.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. So, yeah. Now we go to the mayor's report. So we're looking for people to run, walk, creep or crawl in your favorite Halloween costume through Prairie Park at the Scary at the Prairie 5K and the Spooky Sprint. This is an event which we're going to hold in downtown Frankfort. It's new. It's on Saturday, October 22nd. There'll be a 100-yard dash for those who are 5 and under, and that'll start at 10:30 a.m. There's a 1-mile fun run, and that's for 10 and under. That starts at 10:40 a.m. And then a 5K walk run, which is for all ages, and that starts at 11 a.m. Participants are encouraged to stay after the race and enjoy refreshments and entertainment at Brighter Green. Details and online registration are available at the village website. which is frankfortil.org. Or if you're in the downtown and you see one of the A-frames out there, there's a QR code on there, and a couple places throughout town. You can just scan that QR code, and it'll take you right to registration. The last day for village-provided branch pickup service is October 10th. New Way Disposal will continue yard waste and branch pickup through November. Bundles and yard waste bags must have a yard waste sticker affixed to them for pickup by New Way. The village will provide 7 free curbside leaf pickups this year. Leaves will be picked up once a week from October 17th through November 28th. Our Frankfort Country Market will continue every Sunday in downtown Frankfort from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and that'll go through October 30th. And while we're talking about all these Halloween things, the trick-or-treat hours are from 4 to 7. Halloween will fall on a Monday this year. Typically it falls on the weekend. I think we usually extend it by an extra hour. So this is time for everyone. So from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. I want to send congratulations out to Summit Hill School District 161. Their Class 3 boys baseball are the state champions. The Spartans did a tremendous job. I was following them during the season, as well as our Hickory Creek 157C, who's done an amazing job too. They lost by 1 point, and they ended up with second place. So the Spartans had a 10-1 win over Morton Junior High on Saturday, and a little parade today for them. So congratulations to our Summit Hill Spartans. We had a Fall Fest wrap-up Tuesday night of this past week, and it was a tremendous Fall Fest. People are saying that this may have been the best one that we've ever had yet. Internally, the cooperation and the spirit of support and positivity that took place pretty much behind the scenes was amazing. A great group of volunteers that did a tremendous job. I think it makes people very proud to be part of it. Also, it's a very good reflection on the essence of what Frankfort is. And that is all I have for tonight. And we will now go to board comments, and we'll go over to our clerk, Katie Schubert.
Thank you, Mayor Ogle. Just a reminder that petition packets are available at Village Hall for anyone who is interested in running for one of the 3 trustee spots that will be open in the election for the consolidated election in April of 2023. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Kate. Trustee Ledden.
Thank you. I would just like to commend Jenny and Rob for a great job on the audit report. I read in the management letter about the lease criteria. I'm dealing with that as well. It's going to be fun as we do our audit this year with that new thing. But I found the report obviously very comprehensive, informative, and very pleased at the good financial condition that the village is in. So thank you.
Trustee Savaria.
Nothing really. I would echo Trustee Ledden's comments. Always a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Farina.
Happy birthday, Rob and Trustee Ledden. I hope you have somewhere pleasant to go to after this, a restaurant or out to toast your birthday, so enjoy the rest of your evening. And I also just want to acknowledge staff and Mayor Ogle for hosting a senior breakfast last Wednesday here at the hall. It was very informative, and we had a really nice turnout, and I know Chief Chalep, she too presented, which was great for our seniors. That's all.
Oh, thank you. Trustee Petro.
Thank you, Mayor. Rob, there's no better place to be on your birthday than a board meeting. Well, happy birthday. Just want to, again, recognize Jenny for the amazing work that she does with our financial, putting these plans together and receiving the recommendation that we did with our audit year after year. Also wanted to take a minute to just recognize our Plan Commission. There were definitely some larger workshops, several workshops, things that have come to the board more recently, and they've put in a lot of work shaping those PUDs and different plans for us to review. Also, 2 Sundays from now, just wanted to highlight that St. Peter's is doing a rededication. They've been cleaning up the church and doing some different things, and they will be presenting the official plaque for our first historic landmark. So just another recognition to the church, and if you haven't had a chance to peek inside, that would be a great opportunity, and I think they're usually open for the house walk the first Friday in December too. Always a great time to stop by. And that's all I had tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee. Trustee Burley.
Thank you, Mayor. And I have to echo a thank you to our finance director, Jenny Booth. She is she's the best in the state of Illinois. I have yet to meet someone that's better than her. The way she takes this complicated material and makes it so presentable and so easy to digest and understand is remarkable. Thank you, Jenny. And then also congratulations to Summit Hill. That's fantastic. What a memory for those boys. And another congratulations to the girls who made it to the championship game, just fell short in the bottom of the seventh, but what a great run. That's 2 years in a row they've made it to the championship game. I think we'll be seeing some Lincoln Way East titles here at the board meeting. We'll be presenting some certificates to them coming up. So, attaboy, girls. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Burley. All right, now we go to Rob Pisha, our birthday boy and village administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to let you know we're should be finishing up with our street resurfacing program. I'm sure you've seen a lot of work going on throughout town. We appreciate motoring public's patience because some of the main streets have been resurfaced, but hopefully we'll have that project wrapped up by the end of the year. As you know, there was a delay of several weeks due to a strike at for the aggregate, so we're hoping to make sure that we get everything finished, but that is progressing forward. I wanted to let the board know we did apply for the ITEP grant for the Sauk Trail Bike Path. That was due last week. That was submitted, so hopefully we will see that path get funded and look forward to hopefully seeing that come to fruition. And I also wanted to congratulate Summit Hill on another fine accomplishment. It seems that we have the benefit of having a bunch of our schools do very well in all the different programs